Welcome to What's Going On's Christmas Edition 2012. I'm Angela Bozorth. Right now we're in beautiful downtown Eau Florida for their First Friday celebration where they're having wonderful singing by a beautiful choir in addition to a tree lighting ceremony. Later in the show we're going to be talking to various faith experts here in the community to talk about Kwanzaa and Hanukkah in addition to traditional ways of celebrating the Christmas season. So stay tuned. Here's the show. With the holiday show this year, I wanted to feature alternatives to the traditional Christmas traditions that are so popular here in Brevard County and throughout our country. And so I'm very lucky today to be at the Dr. Martin Luther King Library in Melbourne to talk to a couple of people here in the area who are experts about Kwanzaa. I have Mr. Earl Simmons, who is the Kwanzaa coordinator, and Gwen Harris, who is the resource librarian here at the Martin Luther King Jr. Library. So thank you so much for agreeing to talk to us today here on What's Going On about Kwanzaa.
Well, thank you, Angela. I'm glad to be here.
Okay. I will start with you, Earl. Tell us a little bit about exactly what Kwanzaa is.
Okay, Angela, thank you very much. First, I'd like to say I'm not an expert.
Well, and you had said that beforehand, but I thought obviously you're a very knowledgeable person about Kwanzaa.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to give the Creator thanks for being here. I'd like to thank the ancestors for allowing me to be here also. Kwanzaa is a cultural celebration that had been started by a gentleman named Karinga back in 1966. It came out of the 60s. It's a cultural celebration that honors the family, the community, and the culture.
Interestingly, when you said it came out of the 60s, it seems like that might have been kind of the start in the 60s and 70s of where faith kind of began to take a back seat with a lot of the mainstream Christmas traditions where we had more of the emphasis on gift giving. And I found it interesting when you had said that in the 60s it kind of had started. So now you have been practicing how long, you and your family?
About 7 years.
So what interested you to study about Kwanzaa and then introduce it in your own home to celebrate?
One thing was the cultural identity. It allowed me to be able to identify with a cultural expression that I felt that I was missing. And so that would gravitate me towards Kwanzaa, just the cultural aspect of it.
And also, as a parent, was it important, obviously we especially think about our children during the holidays as we get older, of the traditions that we want them to carry on. Was that also something that appealed to you? Because I assume that you celebrated Christmas up until that period?
Right, that's correct, Angela. I like that also. Yeah, my children also gravitated towards Kwanzaa. And as you say about the children, it allowed them to retain some principle about cooperation, self-identity, and that also add on to the cultural aspects of it.
Now, Gwen, I'd like to bring you into the conversation as well. Now, how long have you been practicing Kwanzaa, you and your family?
2002, 10 years.
And what appealed to you and your family to bring you into the practicing Kwanzaa?
It was the principles. Looking at the unity, the faith, self-determination, things like that, and to be able to practice that and to enhance what we were already doing in the community and in our family. So that really stood out for us.
Now, I wanted to ask you, because we have so many lovely displays here at the library, and you mentioned unity. You have amongst the symbols of Kwanzaa, One of them is a candle arrangement, similar, maybe some would think, to the Jewish menorah.
Right.
What does that stand for? The candles that are lit.
Well, we have the Kanara, and you have 3 red candles, 1 black candle, and 3 green candles. And for each day that you celebrate Kwanzaa, you light a different candle. And the first candle that's lit is unity. That's umoja. And so it's the black candle. And then from there you go to the red candle and then the green, and then you just keep alternating red and green. And those give those symbols, those are things that you concentrate on that day, that particular day. And so you are able to talk about those things, do those things that are represented in with those symbols.
Now, what are some of the other symbols? I noticed that, I know, Earl, you had said before we began taping that Kwanzaa means the first fruit.
Correct, correct.
And I also see that in your displays that there's usually a bountiful bowl of fruits or fruits and vegetables.
Correct, that's correct.
What does that represent? Is that literally taking the interpretation of Kwanzaa?
Okay, yeah. Can I go back a little bit on the Kanara that Ms. Gwen was speaking on? Even though the Kanara symbolize something that is in the Jewish tradition, what's in any tradition that is valuable to another person's upbringing, it could be duplicated. So some symbols, some things are universal.
Right.
And the candles, each candle has a principle. And as you know and I know, a candle represents a light. Right. Light is something that used to guide on a path. So the Kanara with the candle, it's just saying that this is a light. And if the Jews, if they use it in that purpose, then we could duplicate that also. And the fruits, even though the fruits are a physical substance, you could take the fruits and you could compare them to your offspring. You know, such as a corn. A corn is a crop that has many kernels on it, and you could say that you could have many children for many generations. So you could use that in contrast to symbolizing your bounding.
Now, I wanted to ask you about, there's information that, first off, you celebrate from December 26th to January 1st.
Correct.
So those are the days that you light, each candle gets lit for one of those days.
Correct.
And also, if I understand correctly, there are 7 principles, one for each day.
Correct.
So what are those principles? I think you had maybe started it with it, Gwen. So what are some of the other?
Okay. The first day is Imoja, which means unity. Then you have Kuji Chakalir, which means self-determination. Then you have Ujima, which means collective buying. Then from that point there, you have Umani, which Ujima, excuse me, thank you, which means cooperative economics. Then you have Nia, which means purpose. Then you have Imani, which means faith. Yes.
That's one. 6th one, Kumba.
Oh, Kumba, thank you very much.
Creativity.
Thank you.
So it sounds like that it's all of these 7 different principles are principles to help people in their life path. Is that?
That's correct. That's correct.
And so when you have some events coming up, what are some of the things that again want to talk about these events that are coming up here in the community? So I guess we could go ahead and talk about the one December 27th through, at 6 through 7. That's going to be here at the library?
Yes, that's going to be here at the library. It's titled It's Kwanzaa Time. And so with that program, we're going to, it's a seminar, so I will be given information on how to celebrate at home and all the things that you need to do that.
Now, have you had a large outpouring of over the years of people interested in finding out about Kwanzaa to practice in their own homes?
To speak to that, Angela, this is my first year in the community getting involved with Kwanzaa. So now since I have been involved in this performance, I have heard that there are other entities that have been doing the ceremony, but not on a grand scale right now. So I'm going to try it on a grand scale.
Excellent. So you're the coordinator, and you are also helping.
assisting, yeah.
And so again, we have this event December 27th, 6th through 7th, and now I see there you also have something Wednesday, December 12th, 6:30 to 7:30. So are both of these similar events, or they're two? Obviously, I know they're on separate evenings, but
Right.
how can people find out more about these events?
Well, excuse me.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
We have information here at the library. We have the flyers here, so they can definitely come here and pick up a flyer or call here. And Mr. Simmons.
Yes, on December the 12th, we're planning a organization brainstorming meeting at the Delta Life Center. It's going to be at 6:30. The purpose of the meeting is to formalize the events, the two events that we have coming up. I could be reached at 321-914-9299 if anybody needs more information.
And how can people get in touch at the library here to find out more as well?
Okay. Other than coming in, they can call 321-952-4511.
Okay. Well, I thank you both so much, Earl Simmons and Gwen Harris, for educating us about Kwanzaa. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much. I hope I educate. Now, I would like more people to come out so they can be more informed on the situation. So that'd be good. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more of the Christmas edition of What's Going On.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jen Sykoski. I'd like to share with you a new program at Brevard County Animal Shelters called Pajama Pups. Shelters can be scary and stressful places, and dogs become anxious and depressed. Pajama Pups allows dogs to experience a loving home for the night, allowing them to relax so they are calmer when they return. Just one night can change the life of a shelter dog. Please consider a sleepover with a Pajama Pup today. Thank you.
My next segment with the holiday show of What's Going On, I am lucky enough to be right here in the Kol Mashiach Messianic Synagogue with Rabbi Alan Levine. Thank you so much for having me in, Rabbi.
Thanks for having me today.
I am very fortunate to be here in your lovely synagogue here in Melbourne, and we're here to talk about Hanukkah and the traditions that you have, and also the history and how that can apply to people's lives if that is their practicing faith. So I guess we'll go ahead and get started about what is the history of Hanukkah.
Okay. Well, let's go back to a little over 2,000 years ago. Actually, 167 years before the beginning of our Common Era. There were a lot of problems in Israel with the Syrian Greek armies, and Antiochus, who was leading the Greek army, wanted to establish his presence in Jerusalem, in Israel, take over the city. And what he did was he started making it very impossible for the Jewish people to live in peace, and also to follow their religion. He wasn't a big follower or believer or friend of Judaism, and so he started making it illegal for Jewish people to practice their faith. And this built up more and more until some of the tradition Jewish men decided that they wanted to reclaim Jerusalem and the temple. And so they had a revolt. And commonly today, that small guerrilla group of men were called the Maccabees. Maccabee means hammer. And led by Judah, the Maccabee, they managed to, against all odds, even though they were a small group, God allowed them to see victory. And they reclaimed the temple. And then they rededicated the temple. So the rededication or the dedication of the temple is what we celebrate. Hanukkah, the word Hanukkah means dedication. And so this is the festival or the feast of Hanukkah, and it's the dedication of the temple where the Jewish people brought back Judaism into the temple. During those years that Antiochus took over the temple, he took down the altar that the Jews had. He set up an altar to Zeus, the god. He started sacrificing pigs on the altar in the temple. We know that the pig is an unclean animal to Jewish people, and it was really a big offense. And he made it illegal for Jewish people to worship on the Sabbath, to circumcise their sons. And so this was a great victory for Judaism. And so we celebrate today, we celebrate this wonderful victory of the Jewish people with the Feast of Hanukkah.
Mm-hmm. Now, how does this tie in with the menorah and also the miracle of the oil? Because so many of us who are non-Jewish, when we see the menorah, we automatically connect that with Hanukkah and a Jewish celebration. So how does that connect in?
Well, in the temple was the menorah. It was a huge golden lampstand with 7 candle branches, and that was to be kept burning continuously day and night. Well, of course, when Antiochus took over, the menorah, it ran out of oil. They didn't bother to replenish it. And so one of the first things that the Maccabees did was to go about lighting the menorah once again. And what they had to do is they had to have oil, and they didn't have enough oil to light the menorah. Now that there are 2 stories. The most popular story of the miracle of the oil is that there was only enough oil to light the menorah for one day. And what happened was they lit the oil for one day, and it took them 7 more days to make the proper oil. And during those additional 7 days, miraculously, the menorah kept lit for those 8 days. And so that's one of the reasons that we say that we have this miracle of oil. The other possibility is because the Jewish people, because they had not been celebrating their feasts and festivals, because they didn't have their temple, the last feast that they had missed was Sukkot. The Christians call it the Feast of Tabernacles. And Sukkot is an 8-day feast. And what they decided to do was to celebrate the last feast that they had missed. And so they wanted to celebrate that feast. And the miracle was that they had the oil, and the oil could continuously be lit. And so there's where we get the 8 days also. So we have these 2 things. Either way, it was a miracle. Mm-hmm. Either way, God provided that miracle of oil. And so the menorah in the temple had 7 branches, 3, 3, and the 1. And because the Hanukkah, which is the special Hanukkah menorah, we want to celebrate the 8 days, what they did was they added an additional one on each side. And so we have 8 days, and we have a special higher candle that lights the others, and it's called the shamish, which means servant, which is really very significant to us as Messianic Jews.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but
That's right.
Now you had been speaking with me before we began taping today that Messianic Jews, maybe for a lot of us that maybe don't know a whole lot, that you actually do believe in Jesus, that he was the Messiah, if I understood correctly. So I want to go ahead and finish up with, I think this is the main tradition. What are some of the other traditions, and how does that kind of help people apply that to their lives when they celebrate Hanukkah?
Well, one of the big traditions, because it is a festival of the miracle of the oil, we make sure to eat foods that are fried. It's just a traditional thing.
That's cool.
So Ashkenazi Jews will eat potato pancakes, potato latkes. Jews in Israel eat jelly donuts that are fried. So this is one of the foods that we eat. It's also it's become a time of gift giving and family getting together. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So how can people find out about if they're interested in finding out more about it, or also celebrating? How can they find out more about your synagogue here in Melbourne?
Well, you know, we've sort of gone past the time of actually doing our teachings on Hanukkah, but we invite people to come to worship with us. People can go to our website. It's www.shalombrevard.com. It's easy to remember, shalombrevard.com. And people can get any information they want from the website, and we're always here to answer any questions for people.
Great, because that's the important thing about this particular show and segment is to talk about this is a time of faith for the holidays. It's about reconnecting with our faith.
It is.
So Rabbi Alan Levine, thank you so much for allowing us to come in to your beautiful synagogue.
Thank you.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more of what's going on after these messages.
You're on your way to meet up with friends, but you can't seem to get anywhere quickly. You don't want your friends to be annoyed, so you text. You're on your way. Five seconds is the average time your eyes are off the road while texting while driving. Make sure you get where you're going.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where the ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
Well, that wraps up the holiday edition of What's Going On 2012. It's also the last show of 2012, so I want to thank Bright House for another year of airing our show. I want to say a shout out to my family and all the wonderful people who helped make What's Going On a success. I want to thank my wonderful sponsors, Silhouette Hair Design, Kim's Tailoring, and Ugali Florist, in addition to our new sponsors this year, the Knowledge Exchange down in Palm Bay. I also want to say a shout out to Phil Lister, who couldn't do it without you, in addition to Patricia Lewis. So thank you so much for watching. I'm Angela Bozorth. See you in 2013.
Christmas time is here, happiness and cheer, time for all that children call their favorite time of year. Snowflakes in the air, carols everywhere, Yuletide by the fireside, and happy memories there. Sleigh bells in the air, carols everywhere, Yuletide by the fireside, and joyful memories there. Christmas time is here, families drawing near. Oh, that we would always see such spirit through the year.